Good morning and welcome to your Saturday edition of Breakfast Extra. If you're not at the African Union in Addis Ababa, then you're with us here in studios. And today is Valentine's Day. Yes, the roses are definitely red. Red is everywhere. Love songs are everywhere, and those phones are buzzing with happy Valentine's Day messages. But if you really pause, it's interesting how this one day has traveled through history. And yet here in Nigeria, love feels different. Because while the world is posting roses and candlelight dinners, we're navigating rising prices, uncertainty, pressure, and survival. We're looking at fuel costs, food costs, and the daily struggles to make ends meet. And still, somehow, we find a way to celebrate love. You'll see a man who hasn't really quite paid his bills, still buying that small gift. And why is that, you ask? Well, because gifts mean something. Now, across the world, the same thing is happening. People are reaching for love in the middle of real life, different countries, different realities, the same human need to give, to receive, and to belong. So the question becomes, what is Valentine's Day really about? Is it just romance? Who has someone and who really doesn't? I'm not sure about you. Is it just the pictures, the gifts, the public declarations of love? Because if that's the measure, then a lot of people are left out, especially the single ones. But one thing I love about history is that history always reminds us that love was never only about couples. Love has always been about sacrifice. Love has always been about presence. Love has always been about choosing people. And most importantly, love has always been about showing up. So if he's not showing up for you ladies, swipe left. And that's what today is about. Today is Valentine's Day. But I do want to remind you that being single has never been a failure, nor is it a pause in life. You are not incomplete because today is a quiet one for you. You're not behind because no one is posting you today. The deepest love story we know was never about romance. It was about a life given intentionally, selflessly for others. It was never about roses, nor dinner reservations. It was always about a cross. So today, instead of asking, who is my Valentine? The real question is, do I recognize the love that has carried me through this whole time? In a country still standing still hoping, still choosing joy despite everything, that's the kind of love that matters. And at the end of it all, beyond the noise, beyond the pressure, beyond the expectations, we all know that Jesus is the ultimate Valentine. So from me to you, happy Valentine's Day. Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day, Mazino.
Well, happy Valentine's Day there, Inam. Spoken like a true singleton, by the way.
Who told you I'm single?
Oh, I don't know. It sounded like so. Am I wrong?
I was trying to encourage those that are single.
So you're not then?
I mean,
you want to be clear?
I'm not single as a Pringle. We just said Jesus is my Valentine.
How single is a Pringle? But grand, beautiful monologue. I was expecting to see you in all red today, but I think this will suffice. It's okay. I like it.
I'm neutral.
Grand. Neutral is the word. Welcome. It's Breakfast Extra. Expecting you here so we can start our conversations this morning. We might be starting very somber, but hey, do come over and let's start at least with the dailies. And you're welcome. Let's do the dailies, but before that, I should tell you what this morning has in store for you. Now, this Breakfast Extra, we are going to be taking a look at, what you might not be expecting to see for a Saturday morning as we start on a very somber note. In Abuja, a 4-year-old girl is at the center of an alleged child defilement case in Jikwoyi. The incident reportedly occurred in January 2026 at an Islamic school, and the accused male teacher's son has been fingered as being responsible. Now, the victim's mother is raising concerns about safety standards and also oversight in private learning centers. Also, the Independent National Electoral Commission has fixed February 20 and 2027 for the next presidential election and March 6 for the governorship polls. The Senate says it supports new transparency measures, even as amendments to the Electoral Act remain pending. So questions around credibility and preparation are already in focus. And in the United States, lawmakers are proposing visa restrictions against certain Nigerian figures, including Rabiu Kwankwaso, and individuals linked to the Mieti Ala Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria over allegations tied to religious persecution. The move, if advanced, could carry diplomatic implications. And Kebbi State hosts the 2026 Argungu Fishing Festival drawing crowds for a celebration of culture and tourism. And health authorities are urging vigilance as Lassa fever cases rise, following the death of a health worker during the current outbreak cycle. Now, these and more details are coming up inside of Breakfast Extra this morning. But first, we're going to be starting with the dailies, at least the front pages of the dailies. Inem, once again, welcome. What are we doing first? What paper do we have first for this morning?
We have...
I think we have the Vanguard first off, if I'm not mistaken. So let's take a look at the first paper, the first daily. The first page would be from the Vanguard newspaper. So front and center, let's get rid of this one quickly. Nigeria, violence claims 1,258 lives in 41 days, loses 14 soldiers, 10 police officers, neutralizes 419 terrorists. Auto crashes claim 130 lives, waterways 37, insecurity disasters account for 1,091 deaths. And INEC set February 20, 2027 for presidential and National Assembly elections, March 6 for governorship and state assembly polls. At the top for the Saturday Vanguard, 2027 Shore predicts verdict of judges on election matters, and man kills brother over allegation of witchcraft and flees. 36 million naira capital budget release. Nigeria slams FG over poor financing of healthcare. And born on Valentine's Day, watching the world perform love. I don't know about you, Inem, but this should have been my very first Valentine, but I'm starting off rather rubbish at it because I forgot your banana bread. I'm so sorry. My apologies.
I don't want to blast you on
There, outed myself. Tell you what, we're going to call for a little break. We'll go for a short break and then we'll bring back the rest of the dailies. So do stay tuned. We've got more coming your way. Welcome back, and apologies, we won't be able to bring you the rest of the front pages, maybe somewhere later on in the show. That's because we had to make room for our first conversation here. It's a somber one. Now, this happened in January 2026. A 4-year-old girl was taken to school in Jikwoyi, a growing community on the outskirts of Abuja in the Federal Capital Territory. Now, by the end of that day, that school day, according to her family, something had changed. The allegation is grave. The accusation is that the young son of a male teacher at the Islamic school she attended, he is now in police custody, had assaulted the young girl and abused her. The matter has been formally charged before the magistrate court in the FCT. Our News Central's correspondent has been speaking directly with the victim's mother and tracking the legal steps taken so far. Here is that special report by Aisha Salihu.
The incident, which has sparked outrage among residents of Jikwoyi, allegedly took place within the premises of an Islamic school entrusted with the care and moral upbringing of young children. Residents allege that it is not the first time the suspect is perpetuating such practice.
They said I have done one before. If it happened that they treat her well, even though without police station, the father being their father, treat the child in a way that he will know that something that he did is wrong. This second one will not repeat itself.
Mother of the victim, 39-year-old Rashida Alawo, says that her 4-year-old daughter reportedly showed signs of distress, prompting further inquiry that led to the shocking revelation of defilement against her teacher.
On 7th Wednesday, January 2026, she came back earlier. Then I asked her what happened to her, why she didn't attend the lesson. Then she explained that her body was paining her. I gave her some painkiller. Then she sleep. Okay, in the evening, she went to peace. Then I want to wash her bum, but she started crying, which I leave her. Early in the morning, by 6 o'clock on the 8th Thursday, I have to open her body. Then I see discharge and pulse. I wake her up immediately, then ask her what happened to her. Then she asked me if she will not die. I said, you will not die. What happened? Who taught you? Say it's our teacher, Ali. He said he did it to her 1 time in school, 2 times in Islam here. Then he tell her that if he tell anyone, she will die. I waited till 9:30 before I go and make report. They invite him for Jikwoyi police station. So when he reach Jikwoyi police station, they ask the boy. The boy confess that he did it. We go custom hospital that same night to go and do tests. Doctor confirmed it.
The Federal Capital Territory Police Command has confirmed that the suspect has been arrested and is currently in custody, while investigations are ongoing and the matter tried to court.
The case was transferred from Jikwoyi to our gender sections. When our attention was drawn, we decided, the CP personally reviewed the case, and the suspect was still in custody. And on Friday, because he gave the directive that they should pile up the case and charge the court. So issue of settlement does not even arise in a capital offense like that. So we don't indulge in that.
However, the mother of the victim has raised serious concerns about her family's safety.
And the parents of the boy are threatening me to. They bring some people to my house, different people telling me different things. Bring Chief Yoruba, come to my house, telling me that my own is not the first time and it will not be last time. And this thing like this, if I don't withdraw the case and I did this Abuja, let's see what will happen.
Child rights advocates warn that such experiences can have long-term psychological effects if not properly addressed.
The first step to take in achieving absolute trauma repair is in fighting for the victim. That's the first step. There's this high level of satisfaction that that child will get, knowing very well that somebody hurt me and my family, the police, other stakeholders are fighting for me.
This incident has renewed calls for stronger child protection measures, swift prosecution of sexual offences, and support systems for survivors and their families. In Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
Now, police sources do confirm that the alleged assault occurred within school premises during school hours in January of 2026. After the child reportedly showed signs of distress at home, her family sought medical attention. A report was filed shortly after at the divisional police headquarters covering Jikwoyi. Aisha joins us now live and to answer some of the questions that we have. Aisha, thank you so much for joining us.
Also, we're joined by the mother of the victim. Rashidat is joining us here now inside of Breakfast Extra.
Thank you so much for joining us as well. Aisha, let's start with you. Can we just begin, with the sequence of the events? Can you walk us through the precise timelines from the date of the alleged incident in January of 2026 to the date of the arrest and arraignment? Were there any delays between the reporting and police action?
We can confirm that there were no delays for the days of report. However, in between, there were some issues which I believe the victim's mother would also bring to bear. Reporting the issue to Jikwoyi Police Division and how the police tried to handle it, even more like there were some coercions, some threats in between from the suspect's family and also from the police. I'm sure the mother of the victim will clarify all of that. But my own concern here would be the fact that once incidents like this have happened in a community, especially a community such as that, a rural community, what we're likely to see is more of fear within the community members. I remember when I visited Jikwoyi, you could see that there is visible fear and threat. Somewhat threat in the air. A lot of people were asked to speak to me, and we also heard that there was another family that this particular young teacher had perpetrated the same act allegedly to this woman's daughter. And when I visited this other woman, this other mother, she blatantly refused to speak to us. You could see she was fidgeting, she was, just really scared to speak. She didn't even want to talk about what had happened. And even from the residents in the area, because it's a community that it's not, they all live together. The victim's mother house is just a stone throw away from the proprietor's house, the proprietor who is claiming to be the uncle of the suspect, right? Oh, no. So the Islamia is also within the neighborhood. The Islamic school itself is also within the neighborhood. So they all live together in the same community. So it's more like when you want to hear from one person or the other, there is some form of hesitancy to want to speak to you about what's really going on. But by and large, we understand that there are threats in the air, there is safety concern for the victim and her family. And these are questions that we expect that the police, issues that we expect that the police would attend to soon enough. And, the suspect also arraigned in court. Now, the case has only just been filed in court. He's yet to be arraigned so that the legal proceedings can, be moved on with.
Yeah. Rosidat, thank you so much for the bravery of coming and having a conversation with us. I'd like to know what your experience has been like with law enforcement, with filing the case against the young man, and how they have partnered with you in getting him arrested. Can you take us through that?
My name is Alaura Shidat. I'm a mother of 4 years old that raped by his teacher. Then this incident happened on. Since last time, I've been discovered that my baby was sick, and I treat her for different sickness, which I don't even put mind in that. Until this time, they resume again. So when they resumed school this time, she came back earlier. She started complaining body pain again. Then she came back earlier. Then I asked her, why did you come back earlier? Then she said her body was paining her, which is on January 7, Wednesday. Then I give her painkiller. In the evening, when she will, I was trying to wash her bum, but then she shouted that her bumper was paining her. Then I left her when she sleep. Early in the morning, January 8, which is Thursday, I open her lap, then I see discharge and pause. I shouted, then I wake her up immediately. I asked her, what happened, who taught you? Then she told me that it's her teacher. That he said if you tell anyone, she will die. I said you will not die. Then I dressed for her, all because I don't want anybody to know. I go to the school. I don't know. I don't meet the proprietor. I have to call him, which happened to be father of that teacher. I called him, I explained everything to him. Then he tell me that he's busy, that he's going to call me back. When I waited till 23 after 2, I still call him back. He tell me the same thing, that he's busy. I still called him in the evening after 5. He said he's busy. That was when I go meet the father, Mr. Moshood Abiodun, the owner of the Darul Nahim Wasadat, the father of the teacher, Mohammed. When I reached the place, I told him, Alpha, why are you doing like this? I explained what happened to my daughter to you. Then you don't even care about it. Say, is this matter I take personal? That this is just a minor thing. Somebody must stretch a woman. Then I shout. I asked the boy to confess. The father tell the boy to go inside. That the boy says not do it. Then I tell the man, let this boy tell me. But if the boy did not tell me, I will go and make action. He tell me that he's coming to my house. When I reach out, see something 9:30 in the evening, I didn't see anyone. Then not even a call. I have to go to police station. When I reach police station, they called him to invite him. When he reached there, they asked the boy, and then the boy confessed. They took my daughter to hospital, custom hospital, Cairo site. When we reached Cairo site, they confirmed it. When they confirmed the incident, then the father started talking against that. The boy, we asked, this girl is not dying, and she's still moving around, this and that. Doctor was like, how will you say such a thing like this? For this little girl, your son defied. So they have problem with doctor that day. When we reach Jikwoyi police station back, they tell us to come station by 9 o'clock the next day, which is on the 9th January, Friday. I reached there by 8. I meet the boy outside. Then I asked the PRO that why this boy is outside. She told me that why I no sleep for station, so that I will be monitor the boy. Whether the boy keep person that is don't have right to sit down outside. So she started insulting me, do many things. I leave her. Later they call me for settlement, and I say I don't want settlement. I want the root of this case. I want them to talk whether they are using this thing to do something. this is my child. I don't need the money. But the father started threatening me. The next morning, he came to my house with his wife, telling me that the shemo will beg if you beg you no gree. But remember that my son sleep inside cell yesterday. If you don't withdraw this boy, remove this boy from cell, let's see what will happen, because we are in the same area. Then I told him that, so you are threatening me. I run to Jikwoyi police station. Chief, yeah, immediately carry phone that we want to call Brekete family. Then I say, the case is already in police station. They say, okay, I should go. Whenever I need them, they will come for me. Then when I reach police station again, they started another drama. So anything with they want, since I say I don't want withdraw case, I'm the one paying, even for printing, photocopy, I'm the one do everything. I'm the one do everything. See, when they tell me, say this boy is 16 years, I was like, this boy is going to 19 years by March. This boy is going to, because they celebrate his 18 years last year during the fasting. Then the woman police tell me that if I say no, this is minor case, there's nothing they will do if I don't withdraw the case and collect money. Then I call my uncle. My uncle called them to take this case to command. When we are going to command, they tell us to come by 7.
Okay, Rashidat.
I reached there before 7.
Can you hear us, Rashidat? Just a second. Rashidat, we want to be sure exactly the age of this person.
March, next month.
Okay.
19. But so, they want to go and collect their certificates by Matama.
All right, Rashidat, we're going to get there. Rashidat, we're going to get there. Rashidat, I want to be very clear on something. You're talking about two people now. You're talking about the boy, in quote, and you're also talking about the boy's father. So there are two different people here. Who exactly is responsible for the defilement? Who touched your daughter?
Son.
The son. Okay, Rashidat, we're going to go on a break. When we come back, we have more questions that we're going to ask you so that we can get to the bottom of this. Let's take a small break and we'll be back. Welcome back. Just before the break, we were following the troubling story of a little girl in Abuja who had been abused by the son of a school proprietor. Now, we've been following this and also talking to the mother here, Rashidat Abiola, who is on with us via Zoom, and of course our correspondent Aisha Salihu, who is covering the story as well. Now, Rashida, before we went, we were asking you a question. We wanted to know exactly the age of this person. You were telling us something about his age and that they wanted to change his age. Why are they trying to change his age? How old is he exactly, and what are they trying to do?
Jibo is about 18 years.
Okay.
He's going to 19 years by March.
Okay. So now they want...
But they have backdated the age. They don't already go and do birth certificates that the boy is 16 years. But when they release the boy, when I went to go and meet PRO direct, so PRO was, she asked for the birth certificate. When they present it, she was very annoyed that why police no do investigation properly about the age, that this boy is not minor, is an adult. Because this certificate, they do it, is fake. So she confirmed it, and since then, because what they are telling me that this boy is minor, there's nothing, no justice for minor. That's what I have been saying before. Until I reach PRO office that day. Then CP himself promised me that I will see justice. But yet, they asked them to go and lock the school. Not till now. Police have not yet taken any action. Until landlord himself go and lock the school, that he cannot accept what the man did.
Based on what you have said, it's quite clear that they are trying to manipulate or divert the powers that be. Can you tell us the whereabouts of the boy right now, and what is the proceeding, or how far you have gone with regards to opening a case?
Since when, I didn't see any changes. Since when they have arrested the boy back, since last 2 weeks Wednesday, the boy is in detention back, but not yet any improvements. When I even asked the IPO day before yesterday. I called my IPO. That's what happened, what is going on. She said they have already filed the case to High Court, but not yet get the date. Not even give me the court, the case code that I will give my lawyer or anything like that. I didn't know anything about this case anymore. Then these people are disturbing me, calling me, sharing my number to different people. Different number will be calling me. They will be coming to my house.
Which people exactly?
I'm not saving anymore.
Which people exactly are disturbing you? That's the father of the boy. The man, the proprietor.
Okay. Yes, the father of the teacher. He said that they have blocked his school, and that's the only place he's eating, feeding his family. That if they no open, if the landlord no open the school, I will be in trouble. Then sending different people. My life is not more safe. My life is not more safe. Even my children, we cannot go anywhere again.
Okay, then Aisha.
I was just in since.
All right, Aisha.
Rashida, can you tell us about your daughter now in terms of how she's doing, the medical care that she has received? Is she okay? Is she safe? In terms of what the doctors have said, is she all right? Can you just, yeah.
She's not safe. She's not all right. Daytime, you will see her be playing. But in the night, she gets many type of trauma. Even me as mother, I have trauma. I'm not as myself since all this day. I'm not myself again. Because I'm not, my life is not saving. I don't even know what can happen to me between minutes. Because this girl like this, she will be shouting through dream. She can't sleep anymore. Like at times I have to give her sleeping pill. Because this thing, the girl was in trauma. She even asked for justice herself, that she wants justice. This guy said that. But see now, I didn't see anything. Police are doing me many things. They have even doing me. I've spent a lot of money all because of this thing. For them, because they asked me to bring money, I said no. Then they said when I started spending money, I will weak. I will have to withdraw the case. Then I started crying out. That's why I shout out. Maybe Nigerian people help me. I need justice. Then my life, I want them to help me fight this man. My life is in their hands because we are living in the same area.
Okay.
We are living in the same area.
Rashida, Aisha, we saw you in that report with the police PPR, if I'm not mistaken. What is the response from the police?
From what I gathered from Josephine Ade, the Force Command Public Relations Officer, she mentioned that due to the way Jikwoyi Police Division handled the case, the FCT Command decided to take it upon themselves to handle it properly. And just like you've also heard from the victim's mother, the Commissioner of Police himself said he was going to see to it and ensure that justice is served by the end of the day. But from what I gathered from the PPRO, she did mention that she even queried further. The very day we went to her office for more inquiries, the victim's father the suspect's father was equally in her office, and she questioned him about this whole allegation. Of course, she mentioned that sometimes when allegations like this come up, most times the suspect didn't even just start it outside. It may have started right from within. So she tried to probe further to know whether this boy had done, if he had siblings that are females, and if he had done something like this within the family even before taking it out. And then I also made sure I mentioned to her that there are concerns within the community that he must have this even to other families. So that's police into the investigation. But at this moment, from what the PR said, the case has been filed in court, and so waiting for the court date, just like the victim's mother said that she reached out to the IPO 3 days ago, and it looks like we're still at where we were from the last time we did the report, which is the case has been filed to court. So there is no date known yet for when the case will be called in court, when we're expected to go to court to follow up and see how the legal proceedings will be. But we're still on it. We're hoping that the police follows through with their word, where they assured the victim's mother that she would get justice.
Well, Aisha, we do hope that you continue with this story, that you see it to the end. It's a very disturbing one here, and it's taking quite a lot from us in the studio to actually put ourselves together. To Rashida, we understand what's happening here, and we can't say that we know what it feels like, but we are with you on this one, and we're going to always continue to follow through with this story and see it to its end. We pray that justice will take its course. I mean, this is not just about justice, it also raises legal actions regarding proceedings, regarding how we actually take care of minors and how we attend to these kinds of situations when they emerge. Aisha, thank you very much for covering the story. Rashida, thank you very much for being brave enough to actually talk to us about it here on Breakfast Extra. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We'll take a short break now, and we'll be back with other conversations here inside of Breakfast Extra.
Welcome back to Breakfast Extra. Now, Nigeria's next presidential election is now officially set for February 20th of 2027. The date was announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, with governorship and state assembly elections to follow on the 6th of March 2027. The early release of this timetable is intended to give political parties, regulators, and voters nearly a full year of preparations before campaigns reach their peak. But timing is only part of the story. The deeper issue is whether the process itself will be trusted.
Now, in response to controversies that followed the 2023 elections, the Nigerian Senate is now backing measures aimed at strengthening transparency. Lawmakers are pushing reforms to clarify electronic transmission of results, improve accreditation systems, and also close legal gaps in the Electoral Act. These steps are meant to address technical failures, delayed uploads, and also disputes that weaken public confidence in the last cycle. The question now is whether these reforms will be implemented early, along with the budget also, and if it will be clear, if it will be credible enough to restore faith before Nigerians return to the ballot in 2027. So, to examine this, we have with us Jikwoyi Idris, political analyst, and also Mr. Segun Shokpita. He is principal partner, Woodridge and Scott Consulting. Gentlemen, you are welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on Breakfast Extra.
Thank you.
Jikwoyi, I'm going to start with you. Now, the Senate has made some amendments. They made one before and then they made another one. We don't know exactly what it was that they were keeping from us, but then again, they said, okay, we are more open now. It's so we can have a more transparent 2027 elections. And I'm wondering whether you find this tenable. Is it okay? Have they done the right thing? Or are they kinks we're not seeing?
I must thank you for that. That's a great question. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I must mention first, because at the lobby, I watched with a broken heart the story of the little girl who was violated by a person who is supposed to be in a position of trust in her life. I want to condemn it in its entirety, and I want to even say shame on the police, because the local police in Jikwoyi is supposed to provide security for those in that immediate environment. You don't need to take every case to the state police command, get to the PRO, get to the commissioner of police. The DPO in that police station should be very ashamed of himself for not treating that case, for not investigating that case and getting to the root of it and making sure that justice is served. We all have females in our life. We have sisters, we have mothers, we have daughters, we have cousins who are females, we have nieces and nephews. And when things like this happen and they are not addressed, it leaves a very sour taste in the mouth. So that I don't get emotional about it, I would, to answer your question.
Yeah, thank you for touching on that.
I think the National Assembly are playing a game with the Nigerian people. I'm a little surprised that you say they have backed reforms. In my opinion, my enlightened opinion, they have set us back to maybe say 2003 elections, some of the worst elections that were conducted, maybe 2007 elections, where even the president that was elected in that electoral process confessed that his election was one of the worst that had been conducted as at that time. God bless his soul, late President Umar Musa Yar'Adua. The electronic transmission of results has been the major debate, and it was the debate that led them to pass a law and then come back. They had made it discretionary in the previous law, and having made it discretionary, the INEC would determine how they want to transmit election results. INEC decided that they will do full electronic transmission of results in real time in the 2023 general election, and they put it in their electoral manual as part of the guidelines for that election. Unfortunately, there was what they now infamously refer to as a glitch that none of us has been able to explain to today. What we had expected the senators to do, especially the senators, because the House of Rep had done the work of God, the senators are doing what they like. What we expected the senators to do was to elevate that instruction of INEC on the electoral manual and then make it a law so that it is justiciable or litigable, whichever one is correct. I'm not a lawyer, depending on which fits in this scenario. But what they've done initially was to again return the discretion back to INEC in the First Amendment. And having come out to protest, I proudly would say that I was part and parcel of that protest, and it was in Nigeria, it was a pan-Nigerian protest. The preponderance of public opinion was that we do not want to leave a transmission of results to the discretion of INEC.
You mean the clause that stated and or
yes.
Versus transference versus transmission?
They didn't even say transfer. They cleverly, no, it's not clever, it's foolishly tried to equate transfer with transmission. Whereas transfer could be a discretionary act, transmission is a compulsory act. And then in this situation, what when we went to the street, having seen that we have beat them in their game, they now try to again be clever by saying that INEC should transmit compulsorily, mandatorily. However, if there is a place where there is no network, that INEC can still go back to the paper and biro that they used to use.
I will come back to ask you about that now that you've mentioned it, but I'll come back. Inam, you were going to...
Mr. Shegun, the Senate says it supports stronger transparency measures. Now, based on what you know, are these reforms specific and enforceable, or are they just still broad political promises?
You know, thanks for having me again. It has to be said, just like the previous speaker has said, that what we're seeing play out right now is very unfortunate. And it's an attempt by the legislature to take us back, you know, into the past. And if you look at the journey that Nigeria has had in this Fourth Republic with regards to elections, we have seen consistent, gradual improvements in the electoral process that culminated in what I consider to be arguably the most credible election in this era in 2015. All of that came to be because legislation was put in place that compelled action on the part of INEC, including the card reader that ensured that people couldn't just indiscriminately write results anymore, like we saw in 2007 and in 2003. You know, so one would have expected that when the government of President Muhammadu Buhari then introduced the beavers and the IREV, that most of us as observers had touted as rig-proof mechanisms. You know, with what happened with the glitch in 2023, one would have expected that this Senate would have simply gone ahead to then improve the process again by ensuring that those things are legislated, that they're included in the law that compels INEC. Unfortunately, what we've seen is a reversal, and it's very unfortunate. The Supreme Court said something in its ruling on that election that the use of the technology was discretionary on the part of INEC. I have repeatedly said on air, as many times as I've had the opportunity, that I disagree with the position of the Supreme Court, because we might not be lawyers, but we know how the law works. Every law must derive its power from somewhere, and the Constitution is the ground of the country. So the Constitution stipulates how INEC will run elections. The Electoral Act gives further details, and that Electoral Act states clearly that INEC shall issue guidelines, right, through which elections are be operated. Any guideline that is issued by INEC under that law becomes law. But for some reason that I guess we can all guess, the Supreme Court decided to look, you know, the other way and twist logic on its head. Now, it is the duty of the legislature, where such ambiguity exists, to remove it completely. And what they're doing is, in spite of the protest that they've seen from Nigerians, to then now leave a loophole, a backdoor for discretion to still be in place. And that has to be resisted. The effort of the people that thought about beavers and IREV was to ensure that transparency and accountability is clear in the election processes. And what the Senate in particular is trying to do is to sabotage that. And I am delighted that Nigerians have been out there protesting, and I want to say we must not relent until that provision for, in the event of a failure of technology, they can use the manual system. That provision must be removed. There has to be a provision that says INEC must compulsorily provide redundancy in technology redundancies to ensure that if one network fails, then they can switch to another. That's the way it's done all over the world. Nobody moves from, network to paper.
You are correct. The ambiguity that the proviso actually presents are very alarming. They seem to be staring us up our noses. I'm going to come back to Zekeri on the terminology, transmission versus transfer, in just a bit. But I wanted to talk to you about the budget. Let's look at the budget here. 873.78 billion naira, as against 2023 when it was 313.4 billion naira spent. And I'm wondering, for you, what factors do you think is responsible for this increase? It's more than 100%.
No, I mean, that increase in itself, is not a concern for me, because it's a simple reflection of the economic reality of Nigeria as at today. If you remember, the election budget that you referred to, about 350 billion naira, was 2023, before the coming of this administration, before the removal of subsidies, before the floating of the naira. Since those economic reforms has taken place, the naira has lost about 300% value, from 461 naira to the dollar in May 2023 to now 1,300. At a point it was 1,700 official rates. That's way more than 300% devaluation. So what you are seeing basically is the effect of that devaluation.
Okay, that seems rather simple.
That's why that huge jump.
Yeah, that's a simple explanation. I think I'll take that explanation. Inam has got a question she's stewing for you, but before she gets to the question, let me turn to Zekeri here in the studio again. Zekeri, let's talk about that terminology now. Transmission versus transfer. Now, the argument that the Senate puts forward is infrastructure, that there are places in Nigeria that might not be able to transmit. Now, let's take a look at, I see you smiling wryly there. I know you're coming from playing devil's advocate here. Let's take a look at grassroots. Grassroots is supposed to be the base for the elections coming. If you have a strong grassroots, then you can be sure that your numbers are going to come from there.
True.
Most of the grassroots are in places that might not have the infrastructure of the internet or maybe transmitting capability. And I'm wondering if this is not a strong argument for transfer.
Let's look at the numbers.
Because if your grassroots are in places like in villages and hinterlands where they might not have the proper infrastructure, it might be to your benefit if transfer is the option.
The only thing better than the truth is the whole truth. It is true that there are areas where there are no network coverage, but the whole truth is that those who thought this technology through are taking it into consideration prior, and I'll explain. Let's look at the numbers. In 2018, INEC did a study in collaboration with the National Communications Commission. And is it Nigerian Communications Commission or National, whichever one, Communications Commission of this country. And then they came to the conclusion, as at 2018, how many years ago now? 6 years ago. Am I right? 8 years ago. 8 years. And they came to the conclusion that 93% of our polling units are covered by internet coverage. Let's take it a little deeper. As we speak today, there are at least 140 million Nigerians that are connected to the internet. 140 million. Do you know the total number of Nigerians registered to vote in the last election? 93 million. So someone is trying to convince me that 140 million Nigerians are connected to the internet, but the results, not the vote, the results of 93 million voters, of which the 93 million voters will not all vote, is usually around 30%. Cannot be transmitted. We only have 177,000 polling units in this country, and we only do election in one day. A microfinance bank, Money Point alone, did 14 billion transactions last year. They also argue that what if there is no network, what do we do? INEC chairman in 2019, Mahmoud Yakub, said that even when there was no network, when there is no network, that as soon as you upload the election, you transmit the result electronically, it has gone. The only thing is that it will now reflect.
Wait for the network.
Yes, it will now reflect.
So your argument is that there is no argument here.
There is no argument. There is no basis for it. I tell you, when we debate like this, since there is a debate, there is no debate. I tell you what the politicians are doing, especially those in National Assembly. There is a group of individuals that have come to conclude that they cannot win free, fair, and credible elections in Nigeria. So they decided to look for off-ramps, leeway, loopholes to help them circumvent the will of the people. And that is what I am encouraging the Nigerian people to resist. And I'll be clear. The day you remove people from a democracy, it is no longer a democracy. Call it anything else. By the classical definition of democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people. It means at the center of everything we do in a democratic society is the people. As soon as we remove the will of the people, it becomes a problem. Then I must further extend this. The most powerful tool the poor man has, I speak for the common man. The most powerful tool the poor man has to engage his big governor that has a convoy of 20 cars is his or her vote. If you remove that power from the hands of that person, you are essentially a conquered person. You are essentially powerless in your own country. This is the same individuals, we were talking about taxes. This is the same individual who collect tax on every transaction you make. They have network to collect tax. You are interested in my money, but you are not interested in my vote. That is what Nigerians must resist. And resist we must.
Shegun, one of the biggest issues in the 2023 elections was the electronic transmission of results. What exactly must change technically and legally to prevent the repeat of that situation?
No, I mean, look, it's very clear. What needs to change is basically the legislation and nothing more. From a technical standpoint, the system that was used in 2023 was pretty much foolproof, pretty much. Just like my colleague has just said now, the INEC chairman then came out publicly. It's just Google it. It's all over the news. That the Beavers device has a redundancy provision such that even in the event that there's a network failure, let's assume that there is, and it can happen. We probably have 90, 92, 93% coverage of polling units in Nigeria today. So network failure can happen. But in the event that happens, the device has already transmitted the result as required. The result sheet E38A, that E38A that has been scanned with the device is already sitting in transmission on the device. As soon as network, that transmission cannot be reversed. As soon as network is restored to the device, it goes to the server. So there is no basis for any kind of hanky-panky with regards to technology, which means the only thing that then needs to happen is the law that ensures and compels the operators to use the technology that is already available and that is working. And I think it's very important to say, also very critical, just like my colleague has said, one side of this argument and one side of this debate is the impact of removing the will of the people on the governance process, on democracy as a practice. And we must understand this, that there is a direct nexus between the practice of democracy as it was designed to be practiced and economic development and progress. If you do not practice transparent, people, inclusive governance and democracy, you will never have economic development and progress. And that's what we're saying in Nigeria. The reason Nigeria is the way it is economically today is because the will of the people has consistently been circumvented when it comes to leadership selection in this country. And it has to stop unless we don't want to move forward.
Mr. Shegun, a significant portion of the budget has been allocated to technology and election operations. How will this spending improve transparency, result transmission, and overall credibility of the electoral process?
I mean, look, I've looked at the line items for the technology budget. The technology budget alone is 209 billion, naira. It's almost about 30% of the entire budget, so that's significant. And if you then break that down further, you find that there are processes that money is supposed to cover, including quality assurance on the devices, including reconfiguration of devices, acquisition of additional devices to, provide for more redundancy, and so on and so forth. But it must also be said that for me, connecting this to a question that Zeno had asked earlier. Look, yes, the increase that we've seen, the jump, the 300% jump we've seen is a result of devaluation. But the absolute number itself has to be scrutinized further. Because for the life of me, I've done some detailed analysis of some of these line items, budgetary line items, and they don't make sense to me personally, they don't make sense. And, I've been in the business and corporate world for 30 plus years, and I understand how budgets work. I understand that you do need to over budget in some instances to ensure that you don't run into problems when it's time to execute. But when you start talking about deployment of technical staff and you are saying that you're going to spend, I think, 19 billion naira, you have to ask, what type of deployment are you talking about? When you start talking of quality assurance and it's going to cost 400 million naira to conduct quality assurance on these devices, then you have to ask, what was the public procurement process that was followed in selecting the vendors or vendor that will provide that quality assurance? That's a technical language. It means that you're going to test every device. It means that you're going to do stress tests, and so on and so forth to ensure that the devices will not fail on the day of the elections. Who are the people that are doing this? What's the process that was followed? And I can take all the different line items and I find that these numbers are bloated. So unfortunately, we have a legislature who will probably not do their job, because what should happen at the budget defense was supposed to have been, or what should have happened, was supposed to have been very, very rigorous questioning with regards to the details of these items and how those monies were, those figures came about. But INEC is going to get away with it. And you will notice something, that the chairman of INEC complained about the envelope budget use and was saying, would have preferred a situation where there's wider discretion on application of the entire budget rather than being restricted to specific line items. That is a peep into the mindset of the people that are going to run this budget. And, your guess is as good as mine as what is really, really going on with these monies. It's very unfortunate, but there's nothing transparent about the process that we've gone through with regards to how these figures have come about, and, the scrutiny that should have been provided by the legislature on those figures.
Sheko, thank you very much. With all you've said, the ambiguity of the transparency agreement aside, I have a question here for Zachary in the studio. So Zachary, 870 billion naira. What are we expecting to see change when it comes to technology 2027? We are almost out of time, so I'm going to expect that you are summary.
So that is why some of us are really unhappy with the shenanigans, with this play that they are playing with the electoral process. If you are taking that kind of money, that money will construct a road from Abuja to Benin City, where I come from. That money will construct a road from Benin City to Lagos. We don't have roads. We don't have infrastructure. We don't have.
What should we be expecting to see come?
If you are still budgeting that kind of amount, and from the get-go you are planning not to respect the will of the people you are spending the amount on that process for, it defeats the process from the beginning. We may as well just say, just declare yourself winner, keep the money for something else, keep it for education, keep it for health, keep it for...
But here they are trying to be transparent.
There is no transparency. The finance man just explained to you.
It's an entire year between here and there, here and 2027, February, like they have announced. This has not been done before. We haven't had this amount of time. So what should stakeholders be labored with now in trying to make sure that that transparency comes?
If you are asking me that question personally, I don't care about how much they spend. My concern is that my vote must count, and the vote of Nigerians must count. If we have a proper government in place, the government will scrutinize the budget. If we have proper legislators in place, the guys here are improper, quote me. If we have proper legislators in place, They will scrutinize the budget. That is why the election is important, so that we can vote people who are product of the people, not product of a godfather, not product of imaginary votes, not product of glitch and glitches. If we elect, our democracy, like you rightly said, is incremental. We are growing. And we have grown to a point, nobody will take us back. We are now, in 2027, we are determined that only those who are electable will be elected. And I must add, you have 1 year. Instead of looking for how to rig the election, you better go and work. That is the only hope. Nigerians, we will mobilize Nigerians to resist any form of rigging.
Honestly, Zachary, I thought that one response that I was expecting from you was that we take advantage of the Freedom of Information Bill, that we, like Segun Sokoto has just said, regarding the security of these devices that are being acquired.
I am not a finance specialist. I'm a political activist. My own is to make sure that the political process answers to the will of the people. There are people whose job is to go and trace money. There is a budget committee in the National Assembly who they earn salary for that. I don't earn any salary. Do you know that this INEC is building hospital? Do you know as part of this, there are 800 or something billion? They are building hospital. You can't conduct free and fair election. You are building hospital. Why will you not fall sick? Because you are not doing the right thing. Conduct free and fair elections and use the normal hospital. If your elections are free and fair, the people we elected will build proper hospitals for your staff. Now you have to build hospital in Abuja as if the man in Kano, when he's sick, will come to Abuja to take treatment.
All right, Zachary. Zachary, we have run out of time. Segun, I want to say thank you very much for joining us as we try to look at the budget here regarding the regarding INEC, and especially as the elections are coming in for 2027. We hope that we can follow through like you have suggested, especially when it comes to the security of these devices that are being purchased, and if we can find out definite facts about these and how they are meant to be implemented come the elections. Thank you, Segun Sokoto, and thank you, Zachary Idris, for joining us.
Thank you for the
this conversation. Inam has been here chuckling regarding some of the Inam, why have you been smiling since? I'm wondering.
No, I mean, I love the freedom to debate and get to the scrutiny of things, and I think on Breakfast Extra, Mr. Zachary is probably really one of my favorite debaters. So I enjoy listening and taking in everything that is being said. So yeah,
thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Do stay tuned. We've got more conversations inside of Breakfast Extra.
You're back with us. Now, in February 2026, members of the United States House of Representatives introduced a proposal calling for visa restrictions on certain Nigerian political and civic figures over allegations connected to religious persecution and communal violence. Among these reportedly referenced are Rabiu Kwankwaso and individuals associated with the Mieti Allah Kettle Breeders Association of Nigeria. While the proposal has not yet become binding policy, it signals growing international scrutiny of Nigeria's security situations, particularly long-running farmer-herder conflicts and claims of selective enforcement.
So the implications extend beyond personal travel. They touch on diplomacy, sovereignty, and also Nigeria's global image. We're joined by, in the studio here with us, Ladipo Johnson. He joins us here inside of the studio to have this conversation. He is National Publicity Secretary of the New Nigeria People's Party. And of course, Towo Oseruoja, legal practitioner and public affairs analyst. To, you're welcome. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. I will be starting inside of the studio here. Mr. Johnson, it's not yet law. It's a suggestion by the U.S. lawmakers. However, the focus on Nigeria's security is becoming something. It's not just an American-Nigeria relationship now. It's now becoming a global concern. Why the specific focus on Nigerian security? But what do you think about the situation currently with this suggested ban on visas, this visa restrictions, especially for Rabiu Kwankwaso?
Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, thank you very much. And you look the part.
Thank you very much. It's not so much the visa ban as the fact that when you've had your integrity for many years in public service, you now have this sort of period that you have to clear your name, as it were. We feel that, well, in everything, you look for ways to turn it into an advantage. it has become international, as you said, not just between America and Nigeria, but the position of Nigeria in the world, especially in West Africa, and with the population that we have, then any serious country or world leader will be interested as to what happens in Nigeria and the safety and development of the country. You don't want to have, let's even say Lagos. You don't want to have 20-something million people running all the way into Cotonou and Ghana and what have you. So that is it. But the bottom line is that we, of course, you know that we reject it, and we feel that maybe the information source they had, their intelligence regarding that has been misplaced or misdirected. But of course, there's still time because, you know, as you said in your introduction, it's still got to go to the Foreign Affairs Committee, Judiciary, and then they do a proper investigation.
Okay, now, Toho, I'll come to you from a legal perspective. What must happen procedurally in the United States before such a visa restriction becomes enforceable?
Yeah, good morning. So when it comes to issue of visa restriction, basically, we want to see that the American, they are bringing it via the law, but it can be done by presidential order in America, and it can also be done by policies of the current government. So at this particular stage in time is a bill, so it's not yet a law, but on that thing again, it has actually triggered other international watchdog, and some country, as a matter of fact, we make it a policy pending when it pushed through as a law in the United States. I said a policy to the fact that majority of the country in the world depends on America for security intelligence reports. So they would have believed, and just what is in the mind of so many Nigerians, they would have believed that there are information that are not within the public domain, that is within the reach of the lawmakers who have proposed that bill. So it can be treated as a policy to other countries, other nations. As a matter of fact, in Nigeria, it could also trigger security inquiries as to his activities, as to what he has done while in office and after office. But in the US now, it's not yet a law. It goes through the rigorous process of the legislative process in the US, whereby it can be made a law. When it's made a law now, it's no longer at the discretion. It's no longer at the discretion of the officers at the border or the immigration officers in Nigeria, where visas are granted if you are applying to the US, but becomes an order and a law that needs to be complied with. So for now, it can be seen as a discretionary measures that can be put in place even in the US and even when he applied to visit the United States. But it's not yet a coercive law that must be abide to.
Okay. So thank you very much. So we're going to come back to you with more questions, but first I want to ask Mr. Johnson here specific questions about why it is that Kwankwaso has been fingered here by the United States. Now, they would normally do this, suggest visa bans for specific reasons. One is for if they think that the individuals are responsible for the instance that's being pointed out, if they're complicit, if they fail to act or stop violence. Sometimes it could be intelligence report, it could be NGO reports, it could be diplomatic briefings, it could be human rights investigations. Why exactly do you think Rabiu Kwankwaso was fingered here by the United States lawmakers?
Well, if you've read the bill, it goes on to say that there was a Christmas Day massacre, there's been this, there's been that, and then it just jumps, I think sub 7, it jumps to naming him, and then Meitiala or what have you. Now, a few months back, when President Trump issued his first warning, I will not say threat, to Nigeria about the insecurity, especially regarding Christians, Senator Kwankwaso, I believe on the same day or the day after, went on his X handle and stated clearly that, look, we are a sovereign country,
100%.
and et cetera, but what we need from you is not threats, but we need cutting-edge technology, we need partnership, we need intelligence gathering, etc. Now, what was worrying about that was the fact that Representative Riley Moore, the main driver of the bill, went on the X handle and stated that you who were complicit in bringing in Sharia, right?
I want you to double down on why the word complicit, because if you read...
Hang on, it's simple, he was governor. That you brought in Sharia, Sharia came in under you in Kano. Right? That was in 2000 or something. And so many people have suffered from it, blah, 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 blah. Now, my question to them is that, is Sharia of itself evil? One. Two, I mean, if it's evil, you are in bed with Saudi Arabia, you are in bed with Qatar. I'm talking about the US. Two, under Kwankwaso, what effect did Sharia have in Kano? If you heard El Rufai yesterday, he was saying it. He said, even out in the north, it was Kano that really wasn't practicing it. Because Kwankwaso himself suffered from the whole thing. He didn't believe in it. He didn't want it. He couldn't go out after a while. But it was his deputy governor at the time, Governor Ganduje, Abdullahi Ganduje, who went out and was stoned because the people said they wanted Sharia, but the government didn't want it. So they were reluctant in the process. And then the question I have for them as well is, you're a democracy. If a bill has come from the state's House of Assembly, are you saying he shouldn't have signed it at the time? Wouldn't they have overridden the bill and the way the people wanted it? And how far has it been practiced? And then you go and look at other things. This is a man who was the first person. He named at that period, just after that period, a female Christian as the first female Christian chief judge of Kano.
So what recourse for Kwankwaso now?
Other things. Sorry?
What recourse for Kwankwaso to try and get his name out of this?
No, it's a simple thing. First is the Nigerian space, which has been going on, and I thank God, across party lines. Across party lines, you've had people saying, no. There's something else to this. It cannot be. Because they know him as a statesman and whatever. He hasn't been that sort of person. Then, of course, we have to get into the, we started that already, the international community. And as the gentleman Toho
yes,
said, it's not just the US. You know, you have the EU, you have everyone. And some of them have reached out because they've had a relationship with him. And so we're working on that, and we believe that by God's special grace, through the process of getting the bill passed, that his name will be removed from that.
Mr. Hadipo, I'm curious to find out. I think the way diplomacy is being done in our own generation is a bit interesting.
Different, yeah.
Conversations that normally would take place behind closed doors are happening on places like social media and X, which is a bit concerning if you're someone that's, interested in the political space. But you did answer the question briefly, but I still want to ask because I'd like you to go into a bit of detail. Okay. In terms of I don't want to use the word representation, but if we're looking at Nigeria, how is the Nigerian government, of course you've said state men are giving responses to defend him, but the Nigerian government, this statement was done by Riley Moore publicly. What has the Nigerian government done to shield their own statesmen in Nigeria?
What was the NNPP specifically?
No, the NNPP, I am the spokesperson for the NNPP. We've started what we will do, but I understand what you're saying. The Nigerian government itself hasn't come out to say, oh, thanks for the
heads up,
yes, or oh, we don't believe this. They haven't. And it is curious, and you see, I didn't want to go into all this. It's curious that It is just after we had the government pay for lobbyists in the U.S. and the visit of the First Lady and the National Security, National NSA, that this came up and just singled one person's name.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's curious to us, but I do not want to indulge in all these things. I'm just saying that if there's anyone at the back of it all, the good Lord, as we defend, the good Lord will let us know who the person is. Look, let me tell you, I shouldn't even go into all this. Even internationally, there are people from other countries in the EU who have told us that it seems that this was done by so people. So they know him. He's had a track record with them. He's not, he hardly
Sorry,
travels.
when you say this was done by so people,
That's
within Nigeria?
As in, yes. Oh, yeah. They rely on information from NGOs, from people in governments, definitely. So if, and you know, 2 and 2 at times adds up to 2, to 4, at times it seems 22. You understand? So that's
I want to turn to Toho now. Toho, from an international law perspective, I'm wondering if the U.S. has to provide proof before actually banning a person's visa, and what that says for the relationship between America and Nigeria.
Well, just like is a bill, basically they have their information if they do. And secondly, they don't need to explain, like I will use the word. That is where territorial sovereignty comes in. They don't need to explain to Nigeria to the extent in which they allow people into their border or specific people into their border. And you also realize that in the capture of the bill, it designated people as terrorists. So the terrorism regime of United States of America may be different to the terrorism regime in Nigeria. One Nigeria may term terrorist or may term not to be a terrorist activities may be differ in the United States. Looking at the topography, looking at their view of towards life. But internationally, it comes to question, just like I really sympathize with Mr. Johnson there, looking at the body language of Donald Trump. Everybody needs to be careful whatever they want to say so that it won't be used against them if one way or the other. But the truth needs to be said. The truth needs to be said. When it comes to the relationship between Nigeria and United States, it boils down to the fact that what those lawmakers have said and what they have done, and the silent nature of Nigeria comes to the point of our body language when it comes to fighting terrorism, or our body language when it comes to identifying individuals who seems to be threats. And for me, as a person, I served in Kano, I practiced in Kano before coming to the UK. I have seen Kwankwaso, but I have no reason to have a chat with him, but I don't see him to be that kind of person. And I'll tell you, as a matter of fact, during my stay in Kano, Kwankwaso has that open-minded, and he was able to manage religious tolerance in Kano compared to the previous administration. And let me make a point. You know, he lost the 2003 election to Malam Shekaro as a result of his delay in implementing the Sharia law. And that was attested to by the former governor of Zamfara State, Yerima, who came to his rescue in that particular point in time. And that is who he is. And that is what I know him for. So I think the Nigerian government need to come out openly to either affirm or deny such an allegation. To some of us, we may see it as more politically motivated than the fight against terrorism in Nigeria. To me as a person, sorry.
I'm seeing a trend in, based on what he said, I'm seeing an interesting trend in Africa where we find a situation where the United States will label an African leader or politician as something that he may not be. And the government tends to keep quiet, and the people are the ones that need to rise up and defend them. We've seen this in Burkina Faso and in other African countries, which for me is extremely traumatic and sad, because the people shouldn't actually be the ones to do that. The government should, and unfortunately it's not. But gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your insights and your time. virtually and in person in the studios. It's a progressing story. Visa bans are nothing new in the United States, but anyway, we move. We go on a quick break now, but when we return, more stories right here on Breakfast Extra.
Hey, welcome back. It's still the second hour here for Breakfast Extra. Mazino Appeal and in Maso in for Breakfast Extra. Now, let's move on to our next conversation. In 2026, inflation continued to reshape daily life in Nigeria. Food prices remain elevated. Transport costs fluctuated. Rent in cities like Lagos and Abuja consumed a growing share of income. But beyond economics, relationships are absorbing the strain. Couples are postponing weddings, engagements, timelines are shifting. Financial conversations, once delicate, are now urgent, whether we like it or not. But then we are faced with February, the month of love.
Where love is being renegotiated in real time. For some, hardship is a strengthening partnership. For others, it's exposing fractures that would always be there. To guide us through this evolving dynamic, we are joined by Andre Ogbuele, a family and relationship counselor. Andre, thank you so much for joining us. Now, in the past year, how much has economic stress featured in the cases you handle?
Well, the truth of the matter is it's always been a thing, but it wasn't so prominent as is now. Yes, because of the current economic crisis, it has become a huge strain on relationships. A huge strain on relationships. Yes, I've dealt with a couple of clients that 90% of the issue surrounds finances, and that's based on the economy. Yeah. So yeah, a lot actually.
Andre, I'm wondering whether February is a month different from any other month, noting that the middle of February is Valentine's Day, which is today, by the way. And I'm wondering how much of that actually, how much of a factor it plays in relationships in Nigeria, especially during the month of February. Now, I'm asking this because most men, of which I am one, seem to think that we are perceived by our worth. And I'm wondering what room is there for genuine affection from one's partner if the system mandates that we have to express this love in a manner that, means that we're going to have to expend a lot. So what room is there for genuine affection?
Okay, so let's start with this first. What is love? Love is a verb. It's an action word, right? So which means, however it is you need to show love, it needs to be in your actions, be it gifting, be it going out on dates or whatever, but it is an action word. Now, in terms of the stress it's causing on people now because of the month of February especially, so I tell people that it's based on your orientation. The month of love, you see, every day for me is a love day. I practice love every day with my family. Because it's an action word, I don't wait till a timeline before I actually show love. So that is why a lot of people are under a lot of strain, especially Valentine's Day, yes, being today, trying to go all out to either please their partner or just make them happy. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. You see, this act should be done.
So what do you think is responsible for that? Why do you think people have completely forgotten about the real focus of affection, the real focus of love? Why has it now become a transactional thing? Is it because we are bending to commercially driven occasions like Valentine, like Christmas? Is it social media? Why are we seeing love as a money spending activity?
Yes, there's the social media effect, obviously, because a lot of people now spend their time on social media. But herein is the glitch in all this. Social media is not real life. You see, people live differently. You try to imitate something that people put up as a way to advertise either a product or something, right? But not their genuine lives that they live on a daily basis. So there's a misconception between what is online and what is real. And that also stems to orientation, upbringing, value system of people. So if that is not in check, you would always run into this frenzy of, a tagged date for an event. Yes, so that's what it is.
So, Andre, outside of is a very interesting one, actually. Outside of what you defined as love, which I think was beautiful because it has been misconstrued right now, could it be that the roles have somewhat kind of shifted? And in terms of effort, there seems to be a bit of a recline in effort on both sides, not just on the male side. And you find a situation where women are somewhat demanding for things that are supposed to generally come naturally in a relationship.
Yeah. Okay, so again, I'll go back to the concept of upbringing and orientation. You see, what you see today on social media is a ripple effect of how people were taught. Sometimes you see movies where parents are telling their daughters that if this guy doesn't have money, don't stay with him, go after this. So the narrative, there's a narrative being built right now. The narrative is to destroy the family system, right? Because once you destroy a marriage or a union, the ripple effect is on the kids. Now, a lot of people in Lagos, Nigeria, or Nigeria as a whole, right, deal with PTSD, but they have no idea that they are dealing with PTSD because of situations that has occurred. So subconsciously, their actions are fed by what has happened to them. I don't know if you're following me.
Absolutely. I am following. And that brings me to ask the question that might refocus everyone here. What is the true African expression of love without social media, without the big bucks? What is love supposed to look like in an African setting? In a Nigerian setting?
No, African setting.
Yeah. African setting. Inam is actually South African, so let's go African.
So, but you see, the thing is this, right? Love is not Nigerian, it's not African, it's universal. It's a universal thing. So also marriage, you see, there's a baseline to certain things that make it work. Love is you showing affection, showing your partner that you are there for them, you have their back, you are their security, basically dwelling on the 5 love languages. Do you get me? There's the gifting, there's the words of affirmation, there's acts of service, what else? Anyway, basically touch. The 5 love languages. So, no, but here is the thing. Even if it's her best one, you see, everybody has the 5 love languages, right? In them, but some are more pronounced than the others. For some people, they like acts of service. For her, it's physical touch, which is definitely all right. So when it comes to the definition of love, or what love should be, even in the African setting, is you both showing up for each other, complimenting each other, making sure that you can rely on each other, which is trust building. And the biggest of all, communication between you both. You see, so that is what love is. That is what naturally in the African setting. If you ask your parents, did they break their limbs to buy gifts for their wives? They will tell you no. All they did was appreciate their spouse on that specific day that was selected. But again, the selection of a day for you to only show love is flawed. Love should be shown every single day.
I agree with you, Andre. Let me say something to Inam here in the studio. With all these 5 love languages that have been mentioned, and even if gift giving is one of them, I just believe that the Valentine's celebration has focused too much on gift giving and has removed everything else. So now we see gift giving as the main thing when it comes to love, when it comes to showing love. To the extent that when you do not give gifts, then that means you do not love me.
It's actually quite interesting you say that, because when I was getting ready for my monologue, I actually found out that Valentine's alone, universally, is people spend, or the average spend, total compounded spend is $200 billion.
It's been commercialized.
Yes,
Yeah.
$200 billion is spent globally for Valentine's Day. That's gifts, that's restaurants, that's going to the grocery stores and buying things that you want to cook. And I mean, that's a lot of money. And I said again in the monologue as well that I'm struggling to pay my bills, but because I want to keep my spouse happy, I go and I buy something for them. And I think going back to what Andre said, I think love is somewhat now seen as quite superficial, because if someone has a bill to pay and they prioritize you as opposed to
That's
the bill,
selfish, isn't it?
do people understand that me buying you a gift is sacrifice?
Yeah.
And I think people don't, it's unfortunate. As I am single as a Pringle, I said, you begin to see things like this, that it's no longer sacrificial. It's more transactional, like you said. I've spoken to a few guys, around my circle, and they always say things like, it's transactional, it's this, and it's all of that. Now, Andre, I want to ask you something from a single standpoint, because they have dogged me completely in the studios. I want to ask you an interesting question that, has been in conversation around my circle. Can you give us a bit of an enlightenment about this whole thing called the chase? Because, they always let you know that the man needs to chase you, don't be chasing them and all of that. But you find a situation, once they have chased you and it's like they've bagged you, then there's a bit of a recline in the chasing and stuff. Can you educate me and enlighten me about this whole concept of you being the catch and the chase?
After spending so much, by the way. The economics of it all.
Okay, okay, so the chase, right? See, it's a thrill when you're trying to get something that possibly you might not. You know how growing up, you actually do certain things that your parents say you should not do. Now, the thrill of getting caught is what makes you do those things, right? Because there's this sense of danger to it. So when it comes to a guy chasing a lady, it is the same. You see, men were naturally built as hunters. So for them, it's like hunting a prey. And then when they get that prey, they relax, obviously. So that's basically what it is. But there's now a twist to it. You see, now in the society we live in, guys don't like to chase anymore.
And why is that?
I walk up to you. Now, this is the reason behind it, which was what it was naturally meant to be, in the sense that, so I like you, you like me, obviously, and our values align. So what else is there for me to, I don't need to chase you if what we want, we both have the same goals, the same value system. I don't need to chase you. Let's just start off a relationship and go on from there. Now, here's the flaw in that same thing. See, if you start a relationship that way, you would continue to build that relationship in that manner. And why I say this is because if you don't put certain structures in place, it will come back to bite you.
Very, very true. And I like this. Go ahead, Andre.
Go on.
Well, I was going to say that I like this because I like the fact that Inam actually brought this in, because when you talk about the chase and you look at what it has become, or what many will argue women want it to be, it has to do with plenty of expenditure, it has to do with plenty of attention. So that kind of like takes away everything from it, and it's just simply about you spending so much. So I can see why, Inam, I know you're breathing heavy there, but I can see why people are no longer, why men are reluctant to go about a chase. First of all, it's economically disadvantageous to them. Secondly, men have been put in a box where they are perceived by how much they earn, how much they can give. Being a provider may not necessarily mean that you're expending monetarily. You could be providing support, you could be providing well, there are other factors that you could provide. Inam, why are you looking at me? Inam is looking at me strange, and I'm wondering whether I'm saying something wrong. Inam, am I?
I mean, I don't disagree with you.
No, actually, you're not saying anything wrong. It's the narrative. It's the narrative they are trying to portray that, affection can only be shown through monetary terms, which is what I said, goes back to what I said earlier. There's an agenda that is being placed. So that's just what it is. Affection doesn't only dwell on financial gains alone. There are other things. There are other more important things than that. You get me?
I mean, I do agree with that. But I think the misconception, or I think the lines that are blurred, is the fact that, like Mazino mentioned, that when you talk about the chase, men tend to feel like there's a lot of financial expenditure and injections that go to chasing. And I think sometimes that's where they also are like, well, but is this person worth it? It's not necessarily about the monetary value. It's time, it's attention. Now, if you want to peg your attention to financial injections, then it becomes a problem. But I think that's where, again, like we have said, there have been so many blurred lines because women now also just kind of put it on a man to say, what is your ability to provide? And I don't even think that's the wrong question to ask. But, sometimes it's also been one of those situations where if Mazino is chasing Inam, and when Mazino started chasing Inam, Mazino was sending alats, Mazino was sending flowers, Mazino was doing that.
Mazino was trying, definitely.
He was trying, but he put that in my mind. When it's a pattern, if you make me, if you put me in a space where I am used to certain things that you were giving me, there is that consistency, that's an expectation. And I think sometimes it becomes hard for a man to maintain that consistency of something that he started, So it's blurred lines, but...
So you guys know Inam. I'm surprised.
Right? Here's the thing. You as a woman, right? So a guy decides to, take you out to dinners, fly you to Paris just for vacations. No, you're not married, right? You as a woman, you should be emotionally intelligent enough, 100%. Right, to caution him. If you really do care or love this person, because the truth of the matter is anything can happen. Nobody thought the economy would be what it is today, but it is what it is, right? So it is also in your power to speak to this man if you truly and genuinely do care about him.
I agree.
These conversations can be had because yes, it creates a false narrative. You get used to a certain lifestyle and then it comes to a point he can't give you that exact lifestyle. So it becomes a problem. So the bloodlines is both ways. It's not just on the guy's part. It also falls on the woman to also be able to speak to this person. That's where communication comes in. If you guys can't communicate genuinely and openly, then there's really no trust in that relationship.
I agree.
Well, I guess I agree as well. Andre, there are other details that we would like to discuss. I don't know if the producers will give us the time to do that. Okay, so I'm being told that we actually have the time. So let's bring it home now. Okay. Let's take a look at February 14th, 2026. Do we see a decline in the amount of people? Do you think we're going to see a decline in the amount of people who are openly expressing themselves because of the economy that we find ourselves? And how does that change the way Nigerians see love, if it does?
There would be no decline, actually. Instead, there will be an increase in today's activities.
Really? Now?
Again, because of the narrative. Yes, because of the narrative that has been set. See, everyone, or to a large extent, let's say, give or take, out of 10, let's say 7 people, or 7 guys or 7 females feel that financial gain is Valentine. So the gifts, and I'm talking enormous gifts, like people literally buy cars as Valentine gifts to their girlfriends, not even their wives. You see, now that's a problem, to their girlfriends. So there's going to be an increase in that today. Are you considering
the economy that we are in currently? Do you think we will see a boom? Because if Dirty December wasn't as big as what it was the year before, I don't see how Valentine's could actually be so. And I don't think much infrastructure was put behind Valentine's this year. I'm not seeing so many posts. I'm not seeing so many people or businesses that are set up for Valentine's that are saying, oh, we have special discounts. None of that this year. And I'm thinking that it's the economy. And that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, I do get that, but have you been to stores in the past 2 days?
He hasn't.
Apart from the red teddy bears, there's not much difference. Teddy bears with hearts and roses.
No, I think you should walk into stores. Then you would see the traffic of people trying to buy gifts for Valentine. I've been into stores since about Wednesday, and I noticed the increase in foot traffic in stores of people trying to buy stuff, because you see the narrative has sunk in that it has to be strictly gifts and enormous gifts, to be quite precise, to show the extent of how much you care and love someone. So yes, there's an increase in it. It hasn't declined.
I wait to see, and I'm going to step into a store today, specifically just to find out exactly whether they do have these foot traffic like you have said. I don't know what I'll be going to go purchase, but I definitely will be trying to see exactly what's happening there.
You could purchase something for your co-host. She's single, is she not?
Don't remind her,
I'm
because
calling you guys out.
I was
Call
supposed,
him out.
I was supposed to bring her banana bread many weekends now, and I haven't.
But
so that was supposed to be the one thing I was supposed to get for her.
So you see, Andre, this speaks to consistency. Speaks to
yes,
consistency.
but what are you getting him for Valentine's Day?
Thank you. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that we, as men, are always required to be the ones who present these gifts, and we don't get much back in return. Andre, please, why is this so in this setting, African, Nigerian setting?
Nigerian setting, orientation, upbringing. That's what it is. You see, females have been taught to always expect and not to give. So that has become a culture thing in the African system, whereby parents tell their female child to always aim for guys who are already made and successful so that they can have a better life. Now, not instilling into them the value system of love being a give and take scenario. It's a balanced thing. You know, this onus doesn't fall just on the guy, but it's both parties. You know, you give and you take, not just take.
Inam, you
Andre, yes, I do. I do have a gift for you, Mazino, by the way, but I wanted him to think that I do not. So it's absolutely okay, because he didn't get me anything.
Oh, that's great.
Andre, my last question is, what advice would you give people that are in relationships now, early relationships that people are hoping will lead to marriage? What advice would you give them to build a sustainable relationship that is mutually beneficial, a partnership rather, that is service-based as opposed to transactional-based?
Well, not to be, somewhat, the best advice I can give couples right now is to see a counselor.
No.
And that's the truth, because the value system is already twisted, and you cannot fix it because you don't know how to, and it's only a professional that can help you fix it. So for starters, they should see a counselor, and then they need to sit down and actually have a conversation. You see, when we say communication is key in anything you do, marriage, relationship, even in the work front, communication is very key. They need to sit down and discuss everything. You see, I realize that in relationships these days, they don't talk about anything that is important. Mm-hmm. So they need to sit down and discuss, from finances to kids to chores, to the kind of house they want to live in or buy, to cars. All these things need to be discussed. The type of school your kids will go to, what you want to instill in your kids, for the long term, those that are, planning to extend all the way to marriage. Mm-hmm. But yes, that is the conversation that needs to be had.
Right. Andre Ogbewale, thank you very much for joining us this morning here to talk about love on the Day of Love in February. Well, we hope that those out there who are expressing love today do find pleasure in their company, each one of them with their spouses. And for those who are still searching, well, hey, we hope you find love. But then again, there's one person you can always love unconditionally, and that's yourself. So if you're single, show yourself some love. That's what I say. Andre, thank you once again. And yeah, I'll be expecting what Inam has brought in as my gift, but I will bring you something tomorrow, Inam.
I'll be expecting you both to reach out to me also. You're both single. I need to do something about that. So
thank you, Andre.
Need to reach out to me.
Thank you, Andre. It's okay. All right then, Andre. Thank you once again.
I had to make that
exclamation. Thank you for having me, guys.
I had to make that exclamation because I was not expecting that. Andre is playing Cupid on live television. Mazino, what's been your I don't know.
What's been my what
your
now?
best Valentine's Day
I've
gift?
never celebrated Valentine's. This would have been my first, but then again, I've gone and rubbished it now, haven't I? Because I didn't bring you banana bread.
Oh, this would have been your first? Ugh, I feel so special. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too. Thank you very much. That's all I needed. And I think that I'm sorted for this year. Let's do our next segment already, shall we? Do stay tuned. It's still Breakfast Extra.
In the spirit of Valentine's Day.
Oh, no, you're not going to do it, are you?
L.
Oh, no.
It's for the way you look.
Look at me. I can rap. And
O is for the only one I see. V is very, very.
Okay, you got me.
Extraordinary. And E is even more than anyone that you adore and love.
Thank you. It's okay.
Is all that I can give.
Stop.
To you.
Stop. Stop now. But that's lovely. Thank you very much for making me sing on national television. Something I promise never to ever do. But here we are. It's the day of love, so I guess you can forgive us. How's your Valentine's going? All right, now, so from earlier, we actually were bringing you the papers before we went on a very somber story that we had to take inside of our first hour. So we're going to be going back and bringing you the front pages of the newspapers. We only had enough time to do just one back then, so we're taking the rest. We've done the Vanguard. So let's do our dailies this morning. Let's check out our next headlines from the front pages. And we're going to be doing The Nation first off this segment here. Let's take a look at that first page for The Nation newspaper. Do you want to go off?
Sure.
All right.
So The Nation at the top there, you see Sim Fubara. It says, Fubara Rivers leaders to compile new commissioners list. And right next to him, it says, Ribadu ordered my airport arrest El-Rufai alleges.
Yes.
Interesting one. That's a very interesting one.
I saw the video. It trended all through yesterday and the day before, was it yesterday? And I wanted to say, aside from everything that's happening between him, or he has actually said that there's no rift between him and the president. But whatever the case, the dignified manner in which he related to the officials who were supposed to be arresting him is something that I'm taking away. I just liked that scene. It was very, very full of dignity.
Interesting.
Let's put it so.
Interesting. And then right under the Nation headline right there, it says APC, ADC upbeat as Nigerian elects a president February 20th, 2027. Governorship State Assembly poll set for March 6th. And then the APC mobilizing Nigerians to ensure electoral victory. Yilwata made this comment. And ADC welcomes INEC timetable, seeks a stronger safeguards. Right underneath there, we've got Makinde on page 3, elevates 14 Oyo High chiefs to Obas, presents a staff of office. And then military dislodged terrorists in Kwara, intensifies operations. And then right at the bottom in red, UK to replace paper visas with e-visas from February the 25th.
Okay. If you're done with that, we move on to the Saturday Independence now. First look here gives you an idea what the front page is concerned about. Kwara, untold story of Nigeria's safe state facing rising violence. I don't think we've seen the half of the visuals from Kwara State. If you have seen it, it's hang on a second. The Saturday Independent, I thought we were on the Saturday Independent already. That's the Nation we seem to be on. Yes, Saturday Independent. Thank you very much. So, Kwara, untold stories of Nigeria's safe state-facing rising violence. I was talking about the visuals. I saw Igbalani putting together his report. And by Joe, I mean, it's gruesome, the actual footage, some of which can't be shown on television. It's very, very sad. Let's still more on Saturday Independence at the top there. Tinubu SME tax power sector reforms worthy of commendation, says Elumelu. And surrendering phones at security facilities sparks debate among Nigerians. Never knew why exactly I needed to do that. Igbo Nation not excluded from history book. Publisher authors debunk claims. There was a story of a young man who actually raised an alarm regarding the fact, or what he thought was a fact, or claims to be a fact, that there are little Igbo stories being told in our history books. And he came from this, he came from the standpoint that his son was being taught only about other cultures and there's no Igbo references, and that was alarming. But that will make for an interesting read on page 19 of the Saturday Independent if you want to see that one. At the bottom, how sensational headlines influence public perception during NSAS. Lai Mohammed back in the news again. And 2027 polls, INEC fixes February 20, March 6 for presidential governorship elections. And money makes love sweeter. Ha! Says Unidamola Sari, unfiltered. Sani, rather. It does make it sweeter, but I think the core of its taste is in its actual expression, which is not money.
Yeah.
It's affection, it's availability, it's acts of service, it's everything else. I think money comes after. Much after.
I mean, I think we'll get to that a little bit later, but we move now to this day. And this day is at the top there, El Rufai, again, how I was almost arrested at the airport. A former Kaduna governor facing karma, not a persecution, says Ade Yuanju. Atiku ADC condemns the incident. And then in black there it says social media, e-commerce, redefining Valentine's Day celebrations. I'm curious to see that.
We just talked about that.
Right. And then just underneath this day it says tributes as veteran journalist Dan Agbese is laid to rest in Benue State. We've got beautiful pictorial content there. And then right underneath the photo ops, it says, with 371 days to presidential election, here are the contenders and pretenders. That's a very interesting headline. PDP ADC expresses readiness as INEC fixes February 20th for 2027 presidential National Assembly elections.
Why did this day have to go and do that? Like take a swipe?
I mean, it's a very valid one.
Front and center.
Contender versus pretender. Who is there for all the right reasons? Opposition parties task electoral umpire on free, credible elections. And then commission to consult over Ramadan concerns. The CVR hits 884,737 nationwide. And then underneath there it says CAS, Nigeria, to acquire over 46 cutting-edge fighter aircraft, and then UAVs to enhance air power. And then, of course, at the bottom there, this Valentine's Day, we run.
Yes, indeed. There's a marathon going on this morning, by the way. You didn't get, of course, you might not get caught in that. I think by the time you're heading back, it will be
Yeah, and I
over.
think the weather as well today, it's been raining, so...
Yeah, it has been raining in Lagos. In case you're not in Lagos, we were welcome to this morning with very, very interesting showers. We've got the Tribune next, Saturday Tribune here. This government is gone, says El Rufai, he vows. Says Kwankwaso's name on proposed U.S. list unfair. At the top, bank CEOs deepen partnership with Nigeria Police. And Makinde crowns Alago, 13 others Obas in Oyo State. And finally, League of Imams say extremists out to divide Yoruba Muslims. Let's move on now. I think we're moving to...
Last but not least, the Weekend Trust.
Yeah.
I actually love the Weekend Trust. It's very simple and straightforward. Weekend Trust right there. Let's start with the headline. It says connectivity or political will. Interesting one. Inside Kano, Wells of Death on page 8. On page 16, you've got 2027 INEC canoes dates for presidential Goober polls. And then right next to it, bandits kill DPO in Katsina State. And then I love the graphics right there. And then underneath it says the future of medicine in Nigeria is private. Dr. Miriam Dija Ogbede says that. I'm trying to understand how the future of medicine in Nigeria is private when it is a public service that you're actually rendering and giving to the people.
Beats me, Beats
Right.
me. Finally, Saturday Sun. I don't know if you mentioned that was the final one, but this is the final one, the final one, 2027 election. Die is cast. INEC slates presidential national polls for February 20 and gubernatorial assembly polls for March 6. What we want from INEC, opposition parties, CSOs, and others say, and we're ready if polls will be free and transparent, says PDP and the ADC. I don't know about the PDP, but yeah, well. Electricity, why Nigerians may pay more. And FG promises May delivery date, says National Fire Academy, 70% complete. Congratulations. Makinde elevates Salago of Abuja. 13 others chiefs ballers as kings in Oyo Town, and nicotine surge sparks health fears as 573 new products hit Nigerian markets. Lassa fever kills 61 in Edo State. And at the bottom there, many Nigerian celebrities live fake lives, says Ashley Stephanie. You don't have to tell us. We know them. We hang out on Fridays with them, and we pay for our drinks. That's it for the dailies this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. We've got more conversation coming your way. We're still taking a look at the AU Summit, and once we're able to establish connection with Bongani Sisiba, who is in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, we'll be bringing you details on that. Let's go on a break now. We've got more conversation coming your way. Welcome back, and we'll be taking you to Kebbi State, where we have the International Argungu International Fishing Festival, which is happening there. And we also have our correspondent who will be reaching out to us, and we'll be talking about details from the Argungu International Fishing and Cultural Festival. It's been buzzing with color and culture the past couple of days, and also competitions. Now, from thrilling Kabanji water sports to high energy contests that have kept spectators glued to the riverbanks. And also today promises even bigger moments with the highly anticipated Grand Fishing Competition, that's for today, and the National Polo Tournament Finals and the House Racing Competition all lined up. Our reporter Sumaya Abubakar joins us live from Argungu. Sumaya, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Sumaya, now I am being told that you are not in Argungu itself. In fact, you are at a yet-to-be commissioned secretariat, if I'm not mistaken. Can you please give us details about your whereabouts and what's happening for the festival today?
Good morning, Amazina. Yes, currently we are at the Bola and going to be commissioned. Of course, the promise is to celebrate country, but then there are security men, over here. A lot is being prepared for the coming of Mr. President to Kebbi State. And also, we know that after the president arrives and he comes here to commission, there will be a visit, a short visit, of course, to the area of Kebbi. And then from there, he would be moving to Argungu for the Grand Fishing competition. And now we all know that, of course, this event has been ongoing, talking about the Argungu International Fishing and Cultural Festival. This is according to not just the people here, but the visitors and tourists and also spectators coming in to enjoy the glamorous show that they see as one of the biggest in Africa. So currently, there's so much excitement. As of yesterday, while we were at Argungu, we saw, the numbers. It was thousands of people. Security could not even contain the amount of people, and there was so much excitement. Sports activities has been happening, water sports, land sports, talking about the riding, the racing of local, animals here. So it has been a very fantastic show. Of course, the president coming to Benin Kebbi now is just a top, on the icing.
Okay, can you tell us about the festival that we're expecting to see later on in the day? What the significance is for Kebbi State and for Nigeria culturally?
Yes, in terms of the importance of, the Argungu Festival, it's just the fact that the people say that they enjoy this culture. This is something that, modernization has come, and then a lot of youth are forgetting roots of where they come from. But for the people of Argungu, especially when it comes to the tribe of Kabanji clan, they say that it's all about them holding and preserving their tradition. And yes, the importance of this is when you actually see how grand these things are. We've seen really young girls, putting their hands inside the water, the river, in order to fish themselves. So after yesterday, they said that what happened was just a preamble, the small part of the show. So today, we're expecting a grand fishing festival, a competition of, fishermen coming in using their nets in order to catch the biggest of the biggest, fish that you can ever find in Africa. So yes, for that, I would say that is a powerful thing for Nigeria as a whole, where we know that at a time where it is globally recognized and really influential, it still has that Church of Africa in it, which is, of course, this Grand Fishing Festival. So people are excited. The fact that it would be there, there would be prize given for that. According to the people of not just Argungu but Kebbi State in general, they say that this is something that they plan on doing. And I have to point out, Magino, that this festival has been, cancelled since 2020. That was the last time it was held in Argungu. So it's now after 6 years, the excitement is buzzing. The amount of people here is just alarming. And based on, some of our teams are already in Argungu, they're saying that there is really no space for one to put, his food at. So later on, we'll definitely come on the show to give an update on what is going on and the craziness and the excitement of what's going on at Argungu Fishing Festival.
Sumaya, can you give us a bit of intel as to why the festival had been canceled? I know that it had been canceled for about 6 years now. So why the cancellation and the need to reopen the festival?
All right, yes, we were able to speak to the emir like 2 days ago, and he said that the reason was due to the COVID-19 pandemic that happened. So it affected, of course, because we know that it has to do with convergence of thousands of people coming together. So that put a stop to it. And of course, at that time, immediately after, there was a bit of still distance, keeping your distance from people. But then after that, I think for them, they appreciate the governor now saying that he came back with it. They've been pushing for it. Of course, it's been something of culture, and this is the symbol, this is a sign and culture of Argungu people and Kebbi State, and even Arewa at large. So we also were able to talk to, some part of the people that came to also compete, because it's not just competition for the people of Argungu and Kebbi, but also neighboring states. And they pointed out that the fact that for that 6 years, this has not happened, it deprived them of meeting each other, being the celebratory mode, appreciating each other's culture, and then, coming into together as northern people.
Sumaya, we seem to have lost you. If you can hear us, we can no longer hear you at this time. But while we wait for that reconnection to be established, let me tell you, Inem, a bit about the Argungu Festival. It is one of Nigeria's biggest festivals. And I remember as a kid, we used to look forward to when the NTA, which was our only national network at the time, would actually beam these pictures live. And for us as kids, we always used to think of the north as this arid land where, you don't have such bodies of water. But in Argungu, you actually have this big body of water that's reserved strictly for the festival. You can't fish in it. If I'm not wrong, you can't fish in it until the festival.
Oh, wow.
Now, for 6 years now, I don't know if that has been adhered to, and I'm wondering what kind of game we will find this time when the fishermen go in for the competition, which is going to be today. There are a series of competitions, but the biggest one is reserved. I think there is a male category and a female category. I'm not too sure on that one, but it's a very colorful event. And the way it is shot off is also quite interesting as well, as everybody rests on the banks waiting for the call to go in and fish. And it's how they storm the lake that actually is so beautiful.
So doesn't that scare off the fish?
Well, hey, they've got nowhere to run to now, do they? But it's a very interesting spectacle. I have not yet witnessed it live, but I've seen it growing up many times on television. I wish I could have been there this year, but unfortunately I couldn't. Sumaya is back with us. Sumaya, can you hear us? I hope you can hear us now. Sumaya? So, I was grand. I was trying to tell Inem here some things about the Argungu Festival from what I remember as a child, but now that you're back, do tell us if you can give us the details of what the festival is going to be like, the competition for today is going to be like. I was telling her how the fishermen storm the lake as they are asked to already begin. But tell us what to expect, the color, the smell, the sights, the sounds.
I mean, first of all, based on what, we saw the previous 3 days, I would say that the colors, it's not just about fishing. I have to point that out. It's not just about the water, because there were major land activities as well. We had the catapults shooting calabash racing competition. We had the bow archery competition. We had the horseback racing. We had the donkey racing, camel racing. And also there was the Durbar. Now for the North, we all know that it has to do with the Eid for us to have this Durbar procession. But then Argungu also includes that. And then when you know about what we know about the Durbar is that royal families of not just of the particular community but other neighboring communities coming together, and every family represents with a color of regalia that they wear, and then they climb on their horses and then go in groups. So you represent the family by what you're wearing. And then for yesterday, there was that the Doba carried a lot of tribes, not just from the Hausa, community, but we had people from the Tiv, the Igbo community, Yoruba community also displaying that. So that was how beautiful and grand yesterday was. That was the evening. But then in the morning, we saw, the water displays, water competition, sports, has to do with people riding on calabash inside the water. There were people that carried calabash on their head and make sure you swim without that calabash falling off. There were people that dived into the water just to show for how long you would be able to stay underwater without breathing. So much competition. And I told you there was the male and female competition of traditional bare hand fishing, catching, so people would put their hands, young girls and boys, in order to catch a fish. So the first 3 people become the winners automatically. So there was a lot. There was also a boat, riding, racing competition that happened. So for today, it's going to be the grandest. They saved the best, for the last. So the grandest would be fishermen with their nets, and then you're expected to catch the biggest and then the most amount of fish. That makes you the winner. And of course, so far we've seen and heard a lot of gifts and being given and rewards. So we're expecting much more grand rewards. So far, these people are getting cars and a huge amount of money as reward for this competition. So it's not just a spectacle, a great exhibition for the people of this community who are actually used to it. It is a grant for people that are here. We've seen few, Chinese people, etc., from outside Nigeria coming in for this festival. So it is really exciting. I cannot even wait to go there today for us to, see it, witness it for myself, and then explain to Nigerians what they are missing. And I was able to talk to someone where she said that she's been hearing about Argungu, just like you, Magdalena, you mentioned earlier. She's been, hearing about this facility, watching some clips. But then I would give you this for a fact that witnessing it is on another level. At a time where modernization is almost, taking over and preserving culture is a bit difficult, this gives hope to the fact that culture is still appreciated.
Again, next year that I hope to be in Kebbi State to witness this for the first time, real live. So I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I know that I want to be there. But there's one major question to ask when it comes to the economics of this all. How did the state government prepare for this festival? You mentioned that it's not just for the Hausa people, it's also brought in Yoruba people, the Igbo people. It's like a confluence happening right there. So that means that, and I can see from the video, all the people that have come in mass to witness this. So what advantage did the state take? What arrangements did they make? How prepared were they for this event?
The discussion we had with the deputy governor, he said that this was a deliberate, event and a deliberate attempt into bringing back tourism, for the Kebbi and also Nigeria as a whole. So they said that they put a lot of money into it. We have seen so far economically how it has not only benefited, the major businesses, because there were also agricultural shows. Big farmers, bodies came here to showcase their produce for potential investors. So there was a grant show that happened 2 days ago. On that one, there was a lot of tractors, activities, and display of grains and tubers there. So it also benefited the petty traders. That we were able to talk to a lot of petty traders there. I will have to tell you, one of the advantages that these petty traders had was the fact that it is quite sunny now. It is hot. So someone that sells a sachet of pure water is literally getting the benefit of that. We're able to speak to one petty trader who says that this is like a gift from God for her to get this in order to be able to use it to feed her own family, while her husband was away. So that is another, angle to this economic potential. Also, we're able to speak to hospitality, experts who these people who own hotels. Literally, I have to tell you, it is difficult finding any hotel at this time of, the year when it comes to this Argungu Festival. So these people are also benefiting, and which, of course, in turn benefits not just the state, but at the federal level. So yes, economically, this is good. Everything is looking really great. They said they put a lot of money into it. We are seeing it. Argungu, because we know that tourism tends to bring development to a particular community. So this is happening. And we are sure that if other communities will take up to this, then Nigeria is going to be a sight to behold.
Thank you very much for being in Kebbi State, for being specifically in Benin, Kebbi, and we're looking forward to your report from Argungu. We're looking forward to the colors like you've promised us, so we're holding you on that one. Thank you. I don't know how much of Nigerian festivals you've experienced, but we have quite a number of them. I don't know if it matches any from South Africa. What's that one with the colors and the... Oh, that's the one with the girls. I like seeing that on television.
Which one is that one?
The one with the, I think, breaking into maidenhood, if I'm not mistaken.
The one in KZN.
Yes,
the one
what's
that Bongani covered.
Yes, exactly. Bongani covered that.
Memulo, yeah. Memulo Festival, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think you should see the Nigerian version. No, not version. Nigerian festivals, like the Argungu one. I'm sad that I've never witnessed
I've actually never experienced any festival in Nigeria.
Oh, then there's the
Remember,
Oshogbo one.
Victor Mbadike was dogging me for that AO festival as well.
He was at Oshogbo, if I'm not mistaken. Then there's the Ojude Oba. Okay. Has that passed for this year? No, it hasn't. So that's a coming. So I think you should actually, you will enjoy that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, hopefully.
It's Ijebu-Ode, so it's not too far. Maybe we should broadcast Breakfast Extra, the next Ojude Oba from Ijebu-Ode, if I'm...
That's an idea.
That's a big idea.
That's an idea.
You'd come, yes?
I would.
Absolutely.
I
so
would.
we've set our calendar. This is what we're going to do this year. But we have come to the end of the show for a Saturday expression for Breakfast Extra. We still got one more day for the installment for this weekend, and we're hoping that you're going to join us tomorrow. Well, always started with a stellar monologue and, of course, going into conversations all the way up until 10. I'm going to say your goodbyes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, like I said, if you're single, you're not left out. From us, happy Valentine's Day.
The producers want you to sing again.
I'm not going to do it.
Go
happy
on.
Valentine's Day.
Go on. Do it.
Can I call you Rose? Good day. Have a beautiful Valentine's Day from us.
Bye-bye, everybody.